Any kind of conflict between the US and Iran, it isn't just about missiles and armies. You have to think of it like a high-stakes, psychological game of chicken, where just one wrong move could lead to, well, disaster. So we're going to use a little game theory to unpack the strategies, the weak points, and the absolutely terrifying endgames for both sides.
Yeah, welcome back to the end of the world. This quote from the source material we're looking at, it just perfectly sets the stage, doesn't it? We're jumping right into a scenario where the fighting has already started and the stakes couldn't possibly be higher. This is not some regional skirmish. It's a conflict that could literally shatter the entire global order.
Okay, so every game has an opening move. In our scenario, it's a US and Israeli strike that takes out Iran's supreme leader. But here's the thing you absolutely have to understand. That single event is seen in two completely different, totally incompatible ways.
And this is where reality just splits in two. For the US and Israel, killing the leader, that's a huge win, a clear tactical success. But for Iran, it's the exact opposite. They frame the strike as a martyrdom, a deliberate sacrifice made by an old leader to fire up the nation for a holy war. You see, for them, it's not a setback, it's the ultimate call to arms.
And that brings us to the real core of this whole conflict. This is not a fair fight, not even close. It's what we call an asymmetric war, where one side's greatest strengths are designed to exploit the other's biggest weaknesses. They're basically fighting two different wars, with different weapons, different goals, and totally different ideas of what it even means to win.
Let's just talk about the money for a second. A single Iranian Shahed drone costs, at most, $50,000. That's it. They're cheap, they're easy to make, and they can be fired from just about anywhere. Iran can crank out hundreds of these things every single day.
And this number? $1 million. That's the price of a single American interceptor missile used to shoot down one of those drones. And get this, it often takes 2 or even 3 missiles to guarantee you actually hit the target. So the US is forced to spend millions to stop a threat to cost just a few thousand.
So you see the fundamental problem for the US strategy, right? The math just doesn't work. It's not sustainable. Iran can just overwhelm American defenses with swarms of cheap weapons, and in doing so, they can bleed their much wealthier enemy dry without ever having to win a real traditional battle.
And this imbalance, it's not just about money. It's literally baked into the geography. Iran is a natural mountain fortress. It's perfect for hiding missile bases and drone launch sites. But its main opponents in the Gulf, places like the UAE and Saudi Arabia, they're basically flat, open deserts. Every single critical piece of their infrastructure, from oil fields to water desalination plants, is just sitting out in the open, a totally exposed and vulnerable target.
So when you really get down to it, Iran's most powerful weapon isn't a missile or a drone, it's a map. The whole conflict goes global, at one single tiny point, the Strait of Hormuz. This is the place where Iran can hold the entire world economy hostage.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, a choke point is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a narrow bottleneck that's super easy to block or control. And the Strait of Hormuz, it might just be the single most important strategic choke point on the entire planet.
Why? Okay, get this. A staggering 20% of the entire world's oil supply squeezes through this tiny strait every single day, mostly heading to Asia. If Iran closes it, the economies of Japan, China, India, and so many others could literally collapse in a matter of months.
But it gets even scarier. 80%. That's how much food the Gulf states, America's key allies in the region, have to import just to survive. And almost all of it, you guessed it, comes right through that exact same strait. They literally cannot feed their own people without it.
So, by closing the strait, Iran pulls off this brilliant two-pronged attack. First, it threatens its rivals right next door with actual starvation. Second, it attacks the very foundation of American global power, the petrodollar system. That's the deal where oil is sold in US dollars. By crippling the Gulf countries that prop up this system, Iran is taking a direct shot at the heart of American dominance.
So where does all this lead? What does winning even look like? Well, both sides have a vision for victory, and both of those visions involve completely remaking the Middle East in their own image. These are the maximalist, all-or-nothing goals they are playing for.
All right, let's look at the US/Israeli plan. Their long-term goal isn't to conquer Iran, it's to fracture it. The strategy is to break Iran from the inside. Step 1, target its already fragile water supply to create a massive internal crisis. Step 2, weaponize its ethnic diversity by backing separatist groups.
The ultimate goal? To shatter Iran into a bunch of smaller, warring states that could never again be a unified threat.
Iran's own vision is every bit as ambitious. Their goal is to unite the world's Shia Muslims in a holy war against the US-backed order. By causing the collapse of the Gulf economies and shattering the idea that America can protect its allies, Iran wants to rise as the leader of a new Islamic world order, a Pax Islamica.
Which brings us right back to that central question. In a game of chicken between one side that sees death as martyrdom and another that is fundamentally materialistic, who is more willing to risk total destruction? Who swerves first? The answer to that question, well, it could very well define the future of the 21st century.